Right, we are about to start again. So, namaskar, good evening again. If you're all sitting comfortably in your seats, we will be calling a few very distinguished guests now. First of all, I wish to call someone who has been a great supporter of the Manchester Vedanta Study Circle. Someone whose generosity and hospitality has been most impressive. Reverend Karen Owen, the vicar of St. Mary's Church, Ellenbrook. Built in 1723, St. Mary's Church is located in the center of the Ellenbrook community, but it has a much more ancient history because it has been a place of worship for nearly 800 years. And as part of the Church of England, within the Diocese of Manchester, Reverend Owen was a secondary school teacher, and she was ordained as a priest in 1995 and became a full-time vicar in 2013. So I would like to call Reverend Karen Owen, please, to come to the stage and say a few words to us. She has been an inspirational friend to the Vedanta Study Circle. Thank you so much. Thank you.
God bless.
God bless. Do you want to use? Yeah. Just a few words.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have I said that right?
Sorry, I need to.
Oh, you need to plug me in. Good evening. Peace be with you. Esteemed guests, well, what an absolute joy and privilege to be here among you this evening, among friends, indeed, as we march together for God. I am both honoured and mostly humbled to be invited here. As was said, I am Karen Owen. I'm a vicar, a priest ordained into the Church of England 30 years ago. And until 2013, before going into full-time ministry, I was a high school teacher. So if I say sit up straight, pay attention and be quiet, you will understand why. Several months ago now, my dear friend, Dr. Anirban Maitra, knocked on the back of my little church door, just as I was finishing up from a service. And I say friend, but at that moment, he was a stranger. Although living very nearby, we did not know one another. The kettle went on, and we sat, and we chatted, and we laughed, and we shared thoughts, and what surfaced again and again was our common values, our shared values. And he told me that as part of his spiritual journey, he'd been on a visit, on retreat to Chicago to learn from the esteemed Swami. And so inspired by his experience, he wanted to find a space to share it. And so St. Mary's, little ancient church in the middle of the village, became the venue. And those of you who know Dr. Anirban, as I call him, will know that he is a doer and a mover and a shaker. And it is thanks to his inspiration and drive that we are brought together here this evening. And how perfectly marvelous that is. How joyful to be among people of different faiths, to be able to share together. And in a world that seems to want to promote difference and division, we come to join our hearts together this evening. So thank you for the invitation, and what a privilege to share with one another as we are and will become friends. Thank you. Bless you. Thank you. Photo op. Bless you, my sweetheart. Thank you so much for saying namaste. Yeah, thank you. Come on, are you going to have a photograph taken? You like royalty? Thank you. Yeah. Yes. No, it's all right. Let's see.
Nice meeting you.
We announced in Manchester, the community, the consult is to submission part, and the last consult is to proceed Kumar Krishna.
If I could call on them, please, to come to the stage.
I don't know.
So I have with me Sri Santosh Kumar, the council of our Manchester council. It's just going to ask me to say a few words. And maybe if I could just call on the vice council to just stand up so people can recognize it.
Like this.
Hello,
Very close.
ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Respected Swami Ishatmananda ji, President Chicago Vedanta Center, other enlightened intellectuals, distinguished guests, dignitaries present here. I am Santosh Kumar, Counsel in the Consulate General of India, Manchester. We express our sincere gratitude to the Manchester Vedanta Study Circle and the Center for Social Change and Development for their kind invitation to the conference. India has long been presented as a beacon of religious harmony, a concept deeply rooted in ancient philosophy and enshrined in its constitution, which guarantees religious freedom. The Sanskrit phrase Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti comes from Rigved, meaning truth is one. The wise describe it in different ways, and it highlights the concept that while there is one ultimate reality of truth, it can be understood and expressed through various forms and paths by different people. Asoka, the great Maurya dynasty king, in his 12th rock edict, stated that the beloved of the gods, King Priyadasi, honors both ascetics and the householders of all religions, and he orders them with gifts and honors of various kinds. Ramakrishna Paramahansa, a key figure of the 19th century Bengal Renaissance, realized that in spite of his differences, all religions lead to the same ultimate goal, and hence they are all valid and true. His most prominent disciple, Swami Vivekananda ji, carried on his teachings and philosophy to the world. He said that it is the same God towards whom all are directing their steps to all different parts. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's concept of nationalism was deeply rooted in the idea of composite nationalism. Religion has historically influenced Indian society on a political, cultural, and economic level. There is a sense of pride associated with the India's rich religious history as the traditions of Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, and Jainism all emerged out of India. The Constitution of India assures and safeguards the principles of religious harmony. In the concept of secularism, it gives its citizens the freedom to practice any religion of their own choice. Religious harmony laid a foundation for a more inclusive and progressive society in India. All of you may be aware that the Consulate General of India has been newly established with its formal inauguration by the Honorable External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on 8th March 2025. The consulate has since been working on its initial setup and same time actively engaging with Indian diaspora. We are working on to commence consular services. I would like to conclude with best wishes and great success with both the organization in promoting Indian values, philosophy, and shared culture heritage. Thanks. Jai Hind.
We have a small token of our appreciation.
A big round of applause for it, please.
I believe our Vice Consul has already received the flowers and our token of appreciation. So the next dignitary I would like to call on is Councillor Vimal Chokshi, MBE. And may I call on the councillor from the Labour Party? I'd like to call on him to just come and say a few words to us. Namaskar, Councillor.
Namaste, everyone. Namaste, good evening. I'd just like to thank Manchester Vedanta Society for inviting me and considering me worthy of this event. And before I start, I would like to recognize the presence of the faith leaders, the community leaders, and esteemed guests and ladies and gentlemen. It's lovely to be here. And once again, thank you for inviting me. I welcome this diverse gathering in my hometown of Ashton to discuss much relevant topic of religious harmony, which is very relevant in today's time. I'm proud British and proud Hindu, and as a practicing Hindu, to understand the religious significance of Vedas and our religious scriptures. And I like to understand the other faith in the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbam, means whole world is one family. As we may know, there are increased events of religious intolerance, violence, and war on global landscape. And such events are instrumentals in bringing all of us out of our silos to spread love, happiness, peace, and harmony. In Tameside, we have a diverse community presence and a huge presence of the Hindu diaspora and growing presence of other faiths, including Muslim faiths. In Tameside, we have an amazing setup in terms of bringing all faiths together on one platform to seek peaceful resolution to any issues in favor of harmony, and encourages us to live side by side with each other. I hope that at the end of this session, we all should be able to carry that message of peace and harmony within our communities. Once again, thank you to Manchester Vedanta Study Circle, and Anirabji to invite me, thanking me. Thank you all for inviting me and allowing me to be part of this esteemed gathering. So God bless all, and thank you once again. Lovely to be here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Beta. Thank you. Thank you.
So now we can go straight on to the welcome address, which will be by Swami Ishatmananda Ji Maharaj. He is the president and minister in charge of the Vivekananda Vedanta Society of Chicago in the USA. Unfortunately, Maharaj Ji cannot join us in person, but he will be very much present, and he will be joining us on the screen. And I would just like to say a few words about this wonderful person, this wonderful luminary, who is also, he is also the main facilitator, I would say, and source of inspiration and guide for all of us who are in the Manchester Vedanta Study Circle. We've been really privileged to hear him at least once a month, and sometimes several times during the month, virtually from Chicago. So he is a senior monk of the Ramakrishna Mission, which is a worldwide mission. He is a prolific speaker on Vedanta philosophy, and he was appointed religious advisor at the University of Chicago in 2014. And he is, as I have already said, the spiritual leader of our Manchester Vedanta Study Circle. So, Swami Ishatmananda Maharaj, namaskar to you.
Namaskar. Can you hear me? Namaskar. So, I am welcoming you in spirit. I am physically far, far away from you, though, but as spirit is mine, and all my thoughts are with you. So, this small group, the Vedanta Study Circle, so they are slowly growing up, and Vedanta always considered that every soul is divine. Though the path may be different, but we are reaching to the same goal. So obviously, from that point of view, you are all most welcome. And I cannot forget the name Reverend Karen. From the day one, she is helping us so much. And her Catholicity, her broadness, so this is wonderful. And when I see you all, friends, from here, and all the different faith leaders, you are here, society leaders, you are here, the devotees. So this is a wonderful congregation. If we look at you people, your number is small, comparing with the other gatherings, political and other gatherings. But this is a very core human group. Those who consider themselves the children of God, and those who also think that together we can reach to the goal, which is peace and love. On behalf of the Vedanta Study Circle, I am welcoming you all heartily. Please come, please join, please hold hands, and let us march to the same goal, whom we call as God. Thank you very much. So Hinduism, the word, it came from the Persians, because the Persians, when they used to come crossing that beautiful river, Sindhu, but in their pronunciation, they could not pronounce the sa, they pronounced it as ha. The Sindhu became Hindu. So in all people, it became Hinduism, Hindustan. But actually, this is a faith based on the Veda. The word Veda means knowledge. And what is the knowledge? Knowledge of oneness. Though we see the difference everywhere, so many varieties, but in reality, we are one. Very luckily, that was discovered in India. India they always say, is a blessed land. Why? Because in the north there is the Himalaya, the huge Himalayan range. The Himalaya is protecting the land from the severe cold weather and also stopping the clouds bearing the water and then creating the rain. And the whole land became fertile. The people over there, without much effort, economically, they were contented, they were happy. Then what to do? They started searching for the truth. In Sanskrit, there's a question called Ko Ayam, who am I? Kuto Ayata, where from have I come? Kaba Gati Me, where I am going to go. So when they started searching about this tree, they examined the external world, just like the modern science, they were examining, and they could not get the answer. Why? Because everything is changing, right from the sun down to the clump of grass, everything is changing. Then obviously, things that are changing cannot be the permanent. There must be something permanent, which is observing these changes. Then they turn their attention to themselves. In Sanskrit, in the Upanishad, very wonderfully, poetically, it has been expressed, Kaschid dhira pratyag atmanamikshat abritta chakshu amritattamichan. They close their eyes to get the eternity, the answer to the eternity. So what is the closing the eyes? That means they concentrated on their own. They started analyzing, am I this body? That cannot be, because it's constantly changing. I was a little baby, then I grew up this old young man, then becoming old. This body cannot me. Mind cannot me, because mind is also changing. Then who am I? In that way, they ultimately reach to that goal, which is one, all-pervasive consciousness. And this consciousness is manifesting in different forms, different names, at different times, but it is all the consciousness. In the modern time, we can give the example in this way, that when we look at the different apparatuses of the electricity, the bulbs are different, tubes are different, fans are different, name and form and work, all are different, but at the same time, one thing is common in it. That is the electricity. The same way, the birds, the animals, the reptiles, the human beings, and varieties of human beings. But inside there is the consciousness, which they call in different names, but in the Hindu they call it Atman. The Atman is present in everything. On the basis of that, as we were hearing again and again, they said, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This Vasudha, this universe, is my relative. They're all same. This is not just assumption. This is not that someone came and told. This is not just someone wrote and people accepted. No. Every day, every moment, anyone can judge it. Friends, suppose we look at all these things and we will come to a conclusion that three truths, very common in every species. What is that? First, no one wants to die. Right from the ant up to the elephant, no one wants to die. Where from this common thing came? Then they decided it must be our creator must be the same. Yes, the creator has created this universe and created each and everything out of itself. So obviously the result is the same. So what is that result? Eternal. And we don't like to die. That is the reason we don't like to die. They gave the name in Sanskrit Sat, S-A-T. Sat means eternal existence. Another common thing that we find in every being, and that is the search for knowledge. Each and everyone is curious. We like to know. And the children are asking questions. And you will find each and every being is very curious to know where from the common trait came, again from our Creator, who is the source of knowledge. And our rishis called him Chit, C-H-I-T, that is the source of knowledge. And finally, we all want happiness. No one will purchase our sufferings. No one will accept that in exchange of the wealth of the whole world. We want happiness. Happiness is the goal. Whatever we do, everything for the happiness. Each and every one of us, whether different language, different religion, different culture, each and every one of us, we want happiness. Why this common thing? Because the Creator is one. And we call that Ananda. So they gave these three things, Sat, Chit, Ananda. And the Sat, Chit, Ananda, these three qualities, three ways to understand the truth. They give the name the truth as Brahman. Brahman is that truth. On the basis of this knowledge, the whole Hinduism is standing. And now to make this truth understandable and applicable, the Hindus came up with so many varieties of practices. There are so many gods and goddesses they will be worshipping. Anyone can worship, can choose his own idol, his own god or goddess. All freedom is there. Why? Because we know that is not the real. But through that, the moment your mind becomes concentrated, you reach to the truth, which is eternal, which is the source of knowledge, and which is the source of happiness or bliss. Sat Chit Ananda Sarupa. So we have to go over there. The question that they asked, who am I? They understood that is the answer. I am that Brahman. I am that Supreme. I am that all-pervading. But why then we are separate? Because in between came and we cannot explain it, but that is the Maya. We started thinking that we are separate. That much. And that is the reason, one after another, the great avatars, they came only to take us to that oneness. And afterwards, they said, whatever God you worship, goddesses you worship, in whatever language you use, you are all going to these ultimate three things: existence, knowledge, and bliss, absolute. And if we understand this much, then there is no problem. I always give the example. Suppose one person is studying mathematics in America, another in Great Britain, another in India, another in Japan. Their students are different, teachers are different, language is different, institutions are different, atmospheres are different. But when they graduate in mathematics, all are teachers of mathematics. Now, similarly, I may follow the path of this path or that path, it doesn't matter. But when I make the success in my spiritual pursuit, I become the lover of humanity. And if I cannot, that means still I have to walk, I have to proceed. The paths I need not to change. My practices I need not to change, I like them. So you like that path, I like this path, it doesn't matter at all. But when we reach to the goal, we will all reach to that whom we call as God, as Allah, as Jehovah, as Guru, as Bhagavan. But that is the embodiment of existence, knowledge, and bliss. The God is eternal. Everyone says that. God is the source of all power and knowledge. And God is the source of Ananda. So friends, we should understand these. All the faiths are coming together, not that we have to accept the others, but we have to understand others. And then I will follow my path, my practices, my belief. You follow yours. But when we reach to the ultimate, when we reach to the summit, it will be the same thing, because practices are same, result will be the same, and you will become the lover of humanity, embodiment of love, and that is called God realization. Many different things will provoke us. The politics, the economical situation, the social condition, and many ways they will try to break this. But we have to be united. We have to hold our hands in the name of the Father in heaven, in the name of the Ma, as we call it, the Mother, in the name of the Guru. And we should reach to that ultimate goal. Religion should give peace and happiness. In the name of religion, there should not be any conflict. That should be the today's motto, today's oath, and the promise that we will also give. We will practice and also encourage other people to understand what true religion is. It is not the practices, it is the ultimate understanding, the goal, where we will reach someday. With this prayer and hope, I conclude. And once again, I thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I'm really, really very happy. Once I get an opportunity, I would like to come and meet every one of you and to embrace you and pray along with you, so that this world, everyone become happy. There should not be any suffering. Please allow me to chant one Sanskrit mantra that the long, long back, few thousands years before, our ancestors, they taught us. Sarvas taratu durgani, sarvo bhadrani pashyatu, sarvasad buddhimapnotu, sarva sarvatra nandatu. Let everyone, everywhere, be happy and free from all suffering. O God, please bless us all. Please bless us all. Om, peace, peace, peace unto all. Thank you, friends, to all.
Thank you very much, Swami Ishatmananda, for your words of wisdom. It's now my great privilege to call upon Rabbi Benji to speak, to say a few words to us about Judaism in the context of religious harmony. Rabbi Benji is a highly experienced educator, having dedicated 23 years to Jewish education. Recently, he shifted focus and was appointed the rabbi of the Cheadle and Gatley Jewish community at the Yeshurun Synagogue. Rabbi Benji is also a seasoned religious broadcaster and interfaith advocate. He was chosen to join an international cohort of Rabbi Sachs scholars, furthering the work of the former chief rabbi in the UK and beyond. So I give you Rabbi Benji.
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, there's a timer. Wasted 3 seconds. Good evening. It's really wonderful to be here. I want to take you back 6 years ago to a very difficult time in my life. My oldest teenage son was very ill in hospital, in the Children's Hospital in Manchester. And it was a Friday evening, the beginning of the Jewish Sabbath. And we pulled the curtain around his bay, who was 15 years old. And I began to pray. The sun was about to set. And I said I had to pray. He was not well enough to pray, so I said the prayers. And as I stood facing Jerusalem, as every Jew in the world faces at prayer, I noticed on the other side of the very thin curtain, there was a mat on the floor. And there was somebody bowing down in prayer, also facing not quite Jerusalem, but facing Mecca. And I finished my prayers, and I thought to myself, the God of Abraham, looking down at your children, two parents with sick children, my son and the boy next to him from the Muslim backgrounds, two parents standing at prayer at the bedside of their child, facing almost exactly the same direction, give or take a few degrees on a compass. One standing, one bowing down, almost at the same time of day. And I remember tears pouring down my cheeks, saying, it doesn't matter what faith, doesn't matter what background, the love for our children in the children's hospital, and our prayers were for our own children, but also for all the children in the room. I didn't know what happened to little Zachariah. Tragically, my own son passed away only a few weeks later, never coming home, never coming back to the family. But that Friday night, the beginning of that particular Sabbath, is always etched in my heart, a particularly beautiful moment of prayer, when it really didn't matter what faith you had. It was the act of prayer that really mattered. Religions speak of love. The declaration of faith that we say in our prayers morning and evening and before we go to sleep speaks of loving the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your resources. We speak of respecting God. Those two things are very different. To love God, I believe, is to recognize his image in a human face, especially one whose creed and color or culture is different from our own. How can we pray to the same God, but we see division amongst the children of God? Our love of God has to go beyond the superficial things that divide us. We all know it. If we were all the same, how boring would life be? It's our differences that make us unique. It's our differences that allow us to contribute meaningfully to society. And the more diverse we are, the richer our culture becomes. But that depends on our willingness to bring our differences as gifts to the common good. We're not here to persuade each other to practice like me. And when I found myself bizarrely in Newcastle on Nicky Campbell's Big Questions on a Sunday morning a number of years ago, but there was myself and the Bishop of Newcastle, and I had to chuckle. There was me and a bishop having a conversation. But I said, and the question was, should religions tout for business? Should religions proactively go out to convert? And I shared a traditional Jewish response that the righteous of every human being go to the world to come, go to heaven, or whatever language we use. You don't have to be Jewish to go to God at the end of your life. And therefore, from a Jewish point of view, I am not here to save. I am not here to convert. If you live a moral and ethical life and you love humanity and bring goodness into the world, the end of your journey, we can end up at the same place. I have my journey as a Jew, and everybody has their journey, whatever their faith background. And that stems from the reading at the very beginning of the Hebrew Bible. Genesis chapter 1, you don't have to go very far in the Bible, just the end of the first chapter. When in the creation narrative, God says, let us create people in our image. It doesn't say, let us create a Jew or a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu or a Sikh. It doesn't talk about religion. It's humanity is in the image of God. And we don't speak in Judaism of a physical image. but it's the idea that humanity has the potential to do goodness. We are the ones who create hospitals to heal the sick. We open food banks to feed the hungry. We support those who are falling. As humanity, we all can recognize the image of God in the other. Not because you are me, but simply by being a human being. The school that I taught in, King David High School in North Manchester, the top of Cheetham Hill, which is probably one of the most diverse pieces of real estate, if not the world, in the country for sure. More languages, more foods are sold in the local Tesco's than you get in an area somewhere in a historic village somewhere in the UK where they only see the same type and you never see diversity. And we began to take in students not from the Jewish background due to demographics and diversity and dropping birth rates. And when I left after close to 20 years, I turned to my Christian students from North Africa and told them it was a privilege to teach them. And I turned and I gave a prize to my Muslim student for his attitude in Jewish studies. Yes, a little Muslim boy, okay, named Muhammad, won the Jewish studies prize in the Jewish school. Why? Because we accepted him as an equal and he worked hard with the values of respect and love for God and for humanity, and he was worthy of a prize. And the little boy who was the only Sikh kid in the school wore his turban with pride. And the Buddhist kids who came only later on in my journey, one from Sri Lanka, she spoke a pride about pride of her heritage. And all the diversity filled us with such pride. We created a humanity. We speak of human beings. I think we should speak of a humanity being. We are all one. And in the same way that mysteriously yesterday I twisted badly and I've got this terrible pain on the side of my back, and every speed bump coming here was, if we are a humanity being, then when one of us is in trouble, humanity is in trouble. And if we start thinking like that, the world just possibly could be a very different place. So why don't we? What's our problem? I don't mean the honored gathering here, but what is the problem outside? Why is what's obvious to us here tonight not obvious in the world? I think the fear of the other has eroded the belief in our shared humanity. We don't understand. And I had the privilege to make a new friend tonight, who you'll hear soon. I had the privilege to teach religious studies. And my little bit of, I guess, GCSE level knowledge of Sikhism that I got to teach allowed me to form a friendship. I could share a story of Guru Nanak with my new friend. So what is it? Why are we so scared of the other? You can take the man out of a school, but I'm the educator and I can't stop being the educator. Education. Ignorance is terrible. And when after that horrible attack in France, the Charlie Hebdo attacks, and at the same time, there was an attack at a kosher supermarket in France, the BBC called me up and said, "What are you doing? Interfaith, do something. We need to show the United Kingdom that it's not all hatred out there." And so I gathered my students and we went to Islamic High School for Girls. At the time, they were in Chiltern. I believe they've moved campus. I don't know where they are now. And the TV cameras came and they filmed the session. And you can imagine you had Jewish girls and Muslim girls who had never spoken to each other before. And I said, at the beginning, they couldn't quite figure out how to be friends. And they were stiff and it was difficult. It didn't take very long before they discovered so many shared traditions, so many shared beliefs in Abrahamic religions. Even Abraham, and whether you call him Abraham, Avraham, Ibrahim, it's all the same person. So even within one group of religions, we have so much in common. And as I learned from a former colleague many years ago, if we start with the things that make us different, we will never have a conversation. So I could pick a fight. It would be stupid to do so. But we could pick a fight over the differences between the biblical stories and stories in the Quran, which have slightly different versions or different versions. But take a step back and you find Ibrahim. And where you find commonality, you can begin a conversation. The Hebrew word, as we heard before from the esteemed guest, starting with shalom or salam in Arabic. Shalom means peace, but it's also related to being whole or holistic. Everything's complete. The world is not in a state of shalom now. We're not complete. We don't quite make room for each other. In Jewish celebrations, we often dance in a circle, because in a circle, there's no beginning and there's no end. No one's more important than the other. There's equality. And so I want to bless us. We should all merit to dance, and figuratively or literally, one day in a circle of peace, where no one's more important than the other. And there's wholesomeness and togetherness and peace amongst all people, in our shared humanity and the humanity being, in our shared image of God, the thing that makes us who we really are. I don't mourn the body of my son. I mourn his soul and his spirit that graced the world for a short period of time. But the lessons that he brought into my life and the image of God he reflected in the other patients and that were reflected in him is a lesson for all of us to never forget. Ultimately, we're all walking in the image of God, and please God, to a better world of peace and harmony. Thank you very much.
I'm sure you will agree that we have so far had two very profound speakers. And I, for one, am really enjoying these talks. Are you all enjoying the talks? Yes? Good, good. Yeah, this is an inspirational evening. So next we have Abhayamani, who will be speaking to us on Buddhism and also the same subject of religious harmony. Abhayamani is a member of the Manchester Buddhist Center, which is part of the Three Ratna Buddhist order. The Manchester Buddhist Center has been operating since July 1996, and it welcomes Buddhists of all traditions, as well as members of the greater community. Abhayamani.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you for inviting us here. We're very happy to be here with you all, and it's a privilege. So, marching together towards God. Well, first of all, I've got to say that as Buddhists, we don't believe in a creator God. What we do believe is in a higher consciousness and enlightenment, that we follow the teachings of the Buddha, who was a man who saw through reality and became enlightened. So I will tell you about our order. It was started by Sangharakshita, who was born in England and conscripted into the British Army and sent to India. On leaving the army, he stayed in India, became an ordained monk, and stayed there many years. He had lots of different teachers from different traditions and brought all the teachings together to form our order. On returning to England, he set up the order in London. That was in the 1960s. And since then, Sri Ratna Buddhist Order, as we are now known, has become worldwide and has many members throughout the world and many in India. How could he have ever imagined that it would grow and develop to what it is today? As you see, we don't wear robes after we get ordained. We wear these cases around our necks with 3 jewels on that represent the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We are not monks or nuns, but a lay order living in the community. Some people live together in communities, sharing houses. Some are married and have children. Some work for and in the order, in retreat centres, the Manchester Buddhist Centre, and things like that. Not everyone is ordained either, but the one thing we all share are the Buddhist ideals and teachings. Sangharakshita said that commitment is primary, lifestyle secondary. The basic message of the Buddha is straightforward and practical. We can't rely on anything to be fixed or permanent. Our actions have consequences, but we can choose and grow into our limitless potential. So, the Buddha taught about greed, hatred, and delusion, the 4 noble truths, impermanence, lots and lots of teachings. What does this mean to us? It means that together we follow a path of meditation, ethics, and wisdom. Sounds so easy. Well, it is to read about it. To do the practices takes commitment and energy and lots of effort. First of all, meditation. We try to have a daily meditation practice. And over time, sometimes a short time, we become more aware and want to change and grow. Sometimes it's our friends and family that notice the changes before we do. In my case, it was my work colleagues who used to say how much more confident, relaxed I was. I don't know that I felt like that inside, but something was definitely changing. And ethics. How do we practice ethics? Well, there are no rules. There are the precepts, and there are training principles which come from the Buddha's teachings and passed on to us by Sangharakshita. I'll just read the precepts to you and see what you think. With deeds of loving kindness, I purify my body. With open-handed generosity, I purify my body. With stillness, simplicity, and contentment, I purify my body. With truthful communication, I purify my speech. With mindfulness, clear and radiant, I purify my mind. Sounds so simple. Definitely not. It can be difficult and challenging, but very worthwhile. There is no one to judge us or punish us. We have to make effort as we go about our everyday lives. Everything we do, say, or think is an opportunity to practice. We have to take responsibility for ourselves, acknowledge what we have done, apologize when we can, and try not to do it again. Gradually, we get to know ourselves, our habits and patterns, and grow and develop to become more skillful. By practicing ethics, we are refining and purifying our own mental states, and thus preparing the ground for the practice of meditation and the development of wisdom. Another important thing that Sangharakshita emphasized was the importance of friendship, and especially spiritual friendship. He knew how important it was to have friends in the Sangha to help each other along the path. But it wasn't just about helping Buddhist friends, it was helping anybody. Absolutely anybody. Not looking down on people, being friendly with everyone you meet. Gradually, it becomes a way of life. And we hardly notice it, though it is what Sri Ratna is well known for. I've not mentioned wisdom yet. How do you practice wisdom? Well, by meditating, studying the Dharma, which are the Buddha's teachings, talking with other Buddhists, and reflecting on what you have heard, learning from each other, being open-hearted and honest, and taking an interest in others. So what the Buddha said was, I'm a human being and I've had a certain experience. Listen to what I have to say and test it out in your experience. The Buddha's teaching is to lead us forward, lead us to be happier, kinder, wiser, more full of energy and joy, and more able to help others. So what we're doing, we're not doing these practices just for ourselves. We're doing it to help everyone, the world, the animals, the planet, anything that lives. So this is how the Buddha's teachings help us march together in harmony on the spiritual path. We are all interconnected. What we do affects others. What others do affects us. We are practicing, doing our best, and helping the world. So in the doorway of the Manchester Buddhist Centre, there's a quote from Sangharakshita, and I'm just going to read it. So every day when I go in there, or when anybody goes in there, this is the first thing they see. Why I am a Buddhist. I believe humanity is basically one. I believe that it is possible for any other human being to communicate with any other human being, to feel for any other human being, to feel for any other human being, to be friends with any other human being. This is what I truly and deeply believe. This belief is part of my own experience. It is part of my own life. It is part of me. This belief is part of my religion.
Thank you so much, Abhayamani. Our next speaker is Reverend Karen Owen, and I will not repeat my introduction because we have already introduced her. So Reverend Karen Owen will be speaking to us about Christianity and of course, the subject of our conference today, which is religious harmony. So Reverend Karen Owen.
Sorry, part two. I want to ask you to just hold up 5 fingers. And on those 5 fingers, I want you to think about what kind of a world do you want to live in? And you could choose 20, obviously, but I'm going to give you 5 things to think about. What kind of a world do I want to live in? I'm going to give you 15 seconds to come up. And when you've thought of them, you put your thumb in, your finger in. So when you've got your 5, you will have them held in your hand, okay? 15 seconds. What kind of a world do you want to live in? And just remember the things that you are thinking on. Are you all thinking as well? I knew you were. Everybody at home, 5 things. What kind of a world do you want to live in? Now, I'm going to take you slightly out of your comfort zone. And I want you to bear with me and go, oh, no problem, Karen. We'll love to do that. I'm looking around, so hold on to your 5 now. And I want you to just have a look around the room for a moment. I'm going to take 2 minutes of my allocated time to do this. Look around, turn around and see. And now, what I would like you to do is go and sit near somebody that you do not know. Now, that should not be too hard. You're already together practically. You know. And I would say into groups of 3. Children, I want you to do this as well. Okay? So, 2 minutes, maybe even quicker than that. just to move around and get yourselves into small groups of 3 with people that you do not know. Off you go.
You're creating the buzz. Well done. Amazing.
It's okay if you're in a group of 4, but take your phone with you. Take your phone with you. Excellent. Okay, now your signal for quiet is 3, 2, 1, and 0. 3, 2, 1, and 0. And if you don't hear it, you see it, that means that we are quiet. And so if the person next to you is still talking, just give them a little nudge and say 3, 2, 1, and 0. Now, I hope that has worked. 3, 2, 1, and 0. And that means we close down our conversation. Fabulous. It's all right. I'm going to give you, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was with somebody they don't know. I mean, my colleagues here are well engrossed in conversation and I felt awful to stop you. But what I want you to do, what I invite you to do is, first of all, and don't do it yet because I'll give the instructions. Okay. Are we still on? Are we still on? Can you still hear me? So, I invite you to, in a moment, we don't get any sound interruptions. I want you by the end of this portion to know the names of the people you are speaking to. You may already have done that. You might need to ask them twice because you know what it's like. What is your name? And then 30 seconds later, we've forgotten. Yeah? And we'd get too polite. So you're going to, and that's why you might need your phone. You might want to just write down their names. And then the second task, this is going to take longer than anticipated. The second task is to quite simply just share what your 5 are. You might not get through all of them, but maybe each of you can say what really is important to me, maybe one. So find out names and what kind of a world do you want to live in. I am going to give you just 2 minutes and then we'll go 3, 2, 1, 0, go. Well, next you take your camera and you're going to do a selfie with your group. 3, 2, 1, and 0. 3, 2, 1, and 0. Eyes this way. I do feel like I'm in school. Now, I would hazard a guess. I would hazard a guess. In your groups, did anyone include the words peaceful? Who said, I want to live in a world that is peaceful? Exactly as you were saying, Rabbi, and we don't get it right, do we? It was Mother Teresa of Calcutta who once said, if we have no peace, it is because we have forgotten that we belong to one another. If we have no peace, it's because we have forgotten that we belong to one another. And that has stayed with me. Another quote, Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, and this was on Radio 4, probably I would say about 15 years ago. It's Thought for the Day. And he said this, it's around about Holocaust Memorial Day, and he said, we must remember this. People not just like me are still people just like me. People not just like me are still people just like me. And that resonated deeply with me. Jesus said, I have come that you may have life in all its fullness. And for each of us, that might mean something different, but it definitely includes peace. It's about the values by which we live. And Jesus also reinforced, because Christianity, the Christian Bible, is divided into two parts. The Old Testament, which is Jewish scriptures, Jesus was Jewish. And the New Testament, which was about Jesus' life, his teachings, and the early Christian church. And he said this, that reinforcement that we are to love God with all our heart, our soul, our mind, our strength. In other words, with every ounce of our being, to pour that to God. And if we do that, surely everything else has got to be enriched. And it followed, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. And what we learn is our neighbor is not the person who lives at number 63. Our neighbor is every other human being. And ironically, I think you've been in my head today, Rabbi, because in church this morning we read Genesis chapter 1, because September is creation tide in the Christian church, and we are looking not just about loving our neighbor, but the whole of creation, the whole humanity, but also God's creatures and God's earth. In a moment, or towards the end, because I'm not going to ruin my piece now, I've got you. I'm going to invite you to take, well, we call it a chelfie. My colleague from church, Janet, who's here with me, and we call it a chelfie, and a chelfie is a church selfie. So I'm going to invite you to take a selfie with the people with whom you have been sharing, because then you've got a memory of today. You don't need to do it yet, because I'm going to give you another challenge. Does anybody know what special day September the 21st is? You get an extra samosa if you do. September the 21st is actually, shall I tell you, International Peace One Day. I want you to write that date in your diary. I want you to put it on your phone. I want you to find a way of remembering. It's September the 21st, International Peace One Day. It actually used to be, I think it was September the 6th, Peace Day, and everybody ignored it. Oh yeah, it's Peace Day, carried on. But then I heard of a man called Jeremy Gilley, and in his own words, he was a failed actor and a pretty much a failed filmmaker. And he left school with a D in pottery. He had no qualifications other than a passion to find out about why is the world not at peace. And they set him a challenge. They said, okay, if you want to create a peace day. You need to go to the UN. You need to jump through lots and lots of hurdles. You can Google him. Don't do it now, but you can Google him later. Jeremy Gilley. He set out to establish a day of peace, and his journey is there. And he did it. He did it, not without issue. And you may say, what's the point of peace one day? That was my hook. What's the point of peace? Shouldn't every day be a day of peace? And yeah, you're right. But he said, we've got to start somewhere. If you want to build world peace, he said, if you want to build a wall, you start with one brick. If you want to build world peace, you start with one day. Peace, one day. Peace is a universal language. It can be conveyed through kindness to friends and strangers alike. So here's what I'm also going to give you some homework to do. In a moment, you're going to take your selfie, and if you can manage it, before the end of the evening, to share phone numbers. And on the 21st of September this year, I invite you to send your new neighbor a message that says, peace be with you. Because let's not forget what a privilege it is to belong to one another. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Karen Owen. And we'll move straight on to our next speaker, Dr. Emranul Haque, who will speak to us about Islam and about religious harmony from an Islamic perspective. So Dr. Emranul Haque is an associate professor of economics at the University of Manchester. Isn't it interesting how many of our speakers have shared a background in education? And he is also the founder director of Risala Foundation, which is a charitable Islamic Dawah and Training Institute. He is also the former central president of the Muslim Community Association, which is a community organization working for Islamic Dawah and community cohesion in the UK and in Europe. He's a former member of the National Executive Committee of the Muslim Council of Britain, and he's a past chair of Manchester Muslim Centre. So a big hand, please, for Dr. Emranul Haque.
Good evening, everybody. I am truly humbled and honored to be able to stand here and say something about Islam, Islamic perspective on march to God for humanity, harmony, and also humanity. So because I am not a rabbi or a reverend, I need my help from my slides because I cannot talk from top of my head. Okay, so if I just browse through all my slides, let me see how much I can cover. So first of all, Islam, and I'm going to talk about this whole thing as a kind of a practicing Muslim and what I know and believe about Islam and how it basically coincides with the very theme of this evening, which is peace and harmony. And also I thank the organizers. Basically, world needs people like you, us, who are practicing in their religion. If we can increase the number of practicing religious people, then world will become actually more peaceful, more harmonious, more loving, more secure and safe, I believe. So now if I just go through the information, basically I want to share the main sources we have two, Quran and the practice of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So Islam is effectively, it's a way of life, not just a religion. More than 2 billion Muslims in the world live their life with Islam as a way of life, which counts to, say, more than 25% of world population. And, just to basically break the myth, it's like a myth busting thing, like only 15% are Arabs. I myself, I'm not an Arab. So people think that maybe the Arabs are Muslims only. So I want to talk about these three things. This summarizes whole Islam and the concept of peace and harmony. M plus 6 plus 5. And that is equal to Islam. And what are these? I want to talk about its meaning, beliefs, 6 beliefs, and 5 deeds. And that's it, very simple. Okay, but sometimes we see some people make it very complicated. I believe the religion should be expressed in a simplest manner for our general people to understand. The meaning is, linguistically, Islam comes from 3 letters, salama, shalom, salam. So it has got 3 meanings. It's Islam, that is submission, and then salama means the purity of heart or intention, and then the final one is the topic of today, that is peace. And if we want to summarize all these 3 to give it an Islamic meaning, it means if a person fully submits himself to one and only Almighty God alone, worshipping Him purely, he will live in peace and harmony in this life and in the hereafter. So, Muslim means a person who submits to God or submits to the will of God. Relevant issues is every human being is born ready to submit to God. Human beings have free choice. There is no compulsion in religion. We can inform, share all our information, messages of our different religions to each other, but it should be left with the individuals themselves to choose their religion. People are born without any inherited sin. All humans are from Adam, and Adam was from dust or earth. So basically, to begin, our belief is the people are born with goodness, not with sin. There is no supremacy between Arabs, non-Arabs, black, white. All people are equal in the eyes of God, Allah. The people are different based on their piousness or piety, not racism. Now, if we come to 6 beliefs, number 1, oneness of Almighty God, Allah we call, His angels, His scriptures, His messengers, the day of resurrection we need to believe in, and the divine destiny that we face in this world. So, if we little bit try to explain all these 6, say oneness of God, the God Allah is unique. Nobody, nothing in this world is similar to Him. The moment, if we can attribute something similar to Him, according to our belief, He doesn't remain God. So He has to be unique, and He has no partners. Alone, He is the creator. the sustainer of all that exists, whether it is humans, birds, animals, any creation. He is the sustainer for all. He doesn't father nor is born. And very interesting thing I wanted to share, I'm also very happy to see that. There are Bibles, if you go to different international hotels, you will see in a drawer, there are English Bible there. And it is written in the end that this Bible is translated into 32 languages, one of them being Arabic. And in the very first page, it says, this Allah is not something new coined by our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, just 1450 years ago. It has been there. You can see, I try to highlight this Allah is Alif, Lam, Lam, Ha. It is the same. In English, it is, Allah. Or you can say Ilah, Elohi. So, just only in the first paragraph, or Genesis, it's in Arabic Takween, there are 5 words, 5 times it is written there. In the first page, we counted, there are 17 times it is written. And, if you go to the Arab world, to them, even the Christians, say for example, I've got a statistics from Egypt, which is an Arab country. There are 4 to 5 million Christians there. And they have got some of their names like Abdullah. Abdullah means Abd Allah, means the slave of Allah. So it is actually the same God, one and only God. So the term is similar to what has been used in Arabic language by Abrahamic religions. So what is he? I think we'll see that all these attributes will be similar in other religions as well. So he is the all-merciful, all-beneficent, the Savior, the knower of all, the hearer of all, the seer of all, the judge, the just, the all-aware, the magnificent, the forgiver, the highest, the greatest, the preserver, the mighty, the generous. It doesn't end there, obviously. The watchful one, the responder to prayer, the perfectly wise, the loving one, the majestic one, the resurrector, the truth, the possessor of all strength, the ever-living one, the self-existing one, the all-powerful, the supreme one, the patient one, the guide to repentance. So, and that is what Allah is, unique. His signs in the creation, as he said in Quran, his revelation to Prophet Muhammad, that indeed in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of night and the day are signs for those of understanding. Verse numbers are there. And then we will show them our signs in the horizons and within themselves, meaning within ourselves, until it becomes clear to them that it is the truth. And how can we explain that within ourselves? If we look at any body parts, say if you look on the eye, it is much powerful than any Google or Android camera, isn't it? Pixel or whatever. Nobody could match it yet. And then if we think about our liver or kidney, so all of them, they are in the right place. And also, if there is any single, problem occurs, then we become ill. And at some point, we become severely ill, isn't it? But this whole, the machine, from our head to toe, he has, so if we look at them sincerely, with pure heart, then we will find, as Allah says, that his sign there. So now, this is something not new. This existence of Allah has been mentioned by Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, or even, the modern philosophers of enlightened era, say René Descartes, Pascal, Immanuel Kant. Okay, so I would love to basically share the René Descartes, one of his sayings about the existence of God is he says, he started from doubting the God. He said, I doubt there is God, but because I am thinking that, thinking of this doubt, so that means I exist. And then because I exist, I have been created by somebody. Because I could not create myself, so somebody else has created me. So that can be God. So basically, by doubting the God, he found the existence of God. So I think it is true for all the religions as we speak. Now, and exactly that doubt thing and then finding the God, Allah mentioned that, or were they created by nothing, or were they the creators of themselves? So, and then angels, I think angels are, let me skip that, we know angels. And the scriptures. So we believe in Torah, gospel sent through Moses, and then gospel sent through Jesus, Psalms sent through David, Daud, we call Daud, and Quran sent through Prophet Muhammad. For Quran, it has been carried by Gabriel, 100% correct. And in the Quran, it has been mentioned that, Allah has confirmed that it has been revealed by him, and he has taken the responsibility to keep it intact. So now, Quran is the only book that has been maintained in its original language in Arabic, and that is mentioned in the book. So I think if I just only quickly read out, it is the last revelation, principal source of faith and practice, deals with subjects like wisdom, doctrine, worship and law, justice, peace. Its basic themes are relationship between God and his creatures on one side, and on the other side, between people one another with peace and harmony that we are talking about. So I maybe finish by this. Just if I give you a sample of Quran, the very first surah or chapter that we read, we have to read at least 17 times a day in our 5 times prayer. So which is, in the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the entirely merciful, especially merciful. King of the day of judgment, you alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those whom you have favored, not of those who have incurred your anger, or of those who are astray. So by this, maybe if I conclude my speech or talk or whatever delivery, that I am so thankful to the organizers, the Vedanta Study Circle, that it's a very good, initiative, noble initiative to try to basically bring all the practicing religious people together. And together, if we can grow our numbers, there are non-practicing people, and there are people without knowledge of their religion. They may be causing havoc. The more knowledge, I think Swami Ishatmananda was mentioning, the more we learn, more we remove the ignorance of each other. It is actually the fear of unknown. I don't know what Vedanta stands for, or Vedanta doesn't know what Islam stands for. And then this fear of unknown coming from, all the media exercises. So if we can come together, at least we can know each other, and then all the intimidation feeling would go away, and peace and tranquility, security, economic prosperity will grow through us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Haque Bhai, for giving us that Muslim perspective with so much clarity. So now I'm absolutely delighted to welcome our last, but definitely not least, speaker, Hardev Singh, who will be speaking on Sikhism and religious harmony. Hardev Singh Ji is the Vice President and the Sikh representative of the Guru Nanak Dev Ji Gurdwara or temple in Manchester. It's one of the oldest Sikh temples in the city of Manchester. So let's give a warm welcome to Hardev Singh Ji.
Good evening, everybody. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Namaste to everybody. My name is Hardev Singh, as they said. Waheguru. In Tanta Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. First, I'd like to explain who a Sikh is. I think that's what I should start from. We have an English dictionary and you have a Punjabi dictionary. If I said to you in English, read this book and learn, in Punjabi I would say, book par ke sikh. If I said learn how to drive, I'd say gaddi sikh. If I said learn how to cook, I'd say roti banani sikh. What does the word sikh mean? Learn. The Sikh religion, the word Sikh is spelled exactly the same as it is in the dictionary for learning. That's exactly what the word means. So a Sikh is a person that learns, and we believe everybody in the world is a Sikh because we all learn. We as Sikhs, we have these 5 Ks that we follow, part of our religion. These 5 Ks, the hair on my head, we call them the 5 Ks because they begin with K. The hair on my head is as long as my arm is. If the scissors was there to cut it, then we believe our eyebrows, our mustache, our beard will grow the same length and we'll cut them to the size I need them to be. But we believe God, Waheguru, created us just right. That's our first K. Our second K, all Sikhs wear an iron bangle. It's circling shape. What is a Sikh? A Sikh is a learner. The bangle represents we're always going to learn. There's no end to learning. Then we all carry a wooden comb. This wooden comb that we carry, if you use a plastic comb, it creates static electricity. A wooden comb doesn't. We keep it with us all the time. If I ended up around somebody's house and I couldn't get home, I can still comb my hair twice a day. Our fourth K is, it's very fashionable to wear 3/4 length long jeans. Our kashera, our boxer shorts are 3/4 length long. They're very baggy. They're very modest to wear in front of your mothers, your sisters, to cross-leg and meditate, to horse ride. In other words, I am content. I don't need to follow the world. You have to respect me for who I am. Our fifth K is then the kirpan. Many people say, oh, we carry these swords. They're called kirpan. Kirpan means to bless. Even by the law of this country, I'm allowed to draw this kirpan. But what is the strongest weapon in the world? Your brain. Use it. That is actually the real kirpan. That's what Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj teaches us. It teaches us to use your brain, understand what is right and what is wrong. Yes, we do carry a kirpan, but our real kirpan is our brain. And I'm sure amongst all of us who are sat here, we've never read in the newspaper that a Sikh has drawn his kirpan. So that's who a Sikh is. In today's subject, we were talking about walking towards God. In Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, there's a passage that I wanted to share with you at the start of this talk. Koi bole Ram Ram, koi Khuda hai, koi seve Gursaiya, koi Allah hai. Many people say Ram, Khuda, Gursaiya, Allah. Sikhi teaches us that God is named in many different ways and there's many different paths. But today here we stand together. We stand together to walk towards God. I'd first like to thank by Anirban to invite me to this event, which is a very special event. And when he invited me and he told me that the subject of this event is let us march together to God. There's a part in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj which says Charan Sharan Gur Ek Panda Jai Chal Satgur Kot Panda Agge Hoy Lete Hain. Which means Charan Sharan Gur Ek Panda Jai Chal. When we take that one step to even think of goodness, that one step to walk and help humanity, that one step when we take towards God. Charan Sharan Gur Ek Panda Jai Chal Satgur Kot Panda. God Himself, Kot means millions. God Himself comes to receive you. We feel that we have gathered here. No, God has brought us together. That's what this pankti, this line is explained to us. When I went to Gurdwara side today, and in the Gurdwara, the Gyani Ji was doing a talk, a sakhi. And in his talk, he explained a little story. And I felt from this, the talk, this gathering that we were coming today, I felt it was something that I should take home with me. And as he was talking and he read his hymns, the Shabbats in the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, he said this story. He said that there was this child, these students, this class, and they were doing their exams and they all passed their exams. But he goes, there's one exam left. He goes, when you go home and when you come back, I will tell you what this exam is. So all the students went home. And as they went home, they had to go through a little jungle to get home. And there was broken glass on the floor. Many of the students hopped away through this glass to get home. And there was one, as he walked, he picked up the glass and he put it to one side. And his friend said to him, what are you doing? Leave it. Let's go. He goes, no, there's many students to come and someone's going to get hurt. So he picked up the glass and he put it to one side. And when they came back to school, the teacher said, that one individual, he passed the exam. So some of that we could take away, yes, we are here. We are here because we are God-loving people. Or we love humanity. And this individual has taught us that we are here, we should clear the path for other people, for other students. Come and join. At the end of every prayer, a Gursikh, a Sikh would read. At the end of every prayer, we say, Nanak Naam Chardi Kala Tere Pane Sarbat Da Pala. Which means, before we stand and we say our last prayer and we're going to bow, we're going to do sajda. Before we do that sajda, we utter Tere Pane Sarbat Da Pala. Which means that we ask for the well-being of all humankind. And every Sikh reads this in the morning, in the evening. We pray 7 times in one day. And those 7 times, every Gursikh would read these words. And I feel at this moment when I was coming to this lecture and there was so much to do, I'd just come back from India. And in the past few weeks, as we all know, Punjab has been flooded. Over 1,400 villages are now underwater, and many lives have been ruined. And I felt a very warm welcome when I came to this mandir. And everybody that's around us from all different faiths. Can I ask everybody to stand for the harmony of Punjab, and let's pray together that everybody, anywhere that's struggling, that we can come out of this. And when we stand together, it will show the oneness that we have come to today. So can I ask everybody to stand? I'm going to read one little prayer. Ek oankar satnam karta purkh nirpo nirvair akal murat ajunni sepang gur prasad jap ad sach jugad sach happy sach nanak hosi pi sach. Waheguru ji ka khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh. We can all say thank you. I didn't use my slides. I didn't. I'm just going to scroll through. These were the phrases I spoke in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. Koi bole Ram Ram, koi Khuda, koi seve Gur Saiya, koi Allah hai. We use these words, these are passages from the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and it talks about how we name God in many different ways. Then Charan Sharan Gur Ek Panda Jai Chal Sat Gur Kot Panda Aage Hoy Let Hain. Well, we take that one step towards God, and God will take many steps to come and receive us. And then Nanak Naam Chardi Kala Tere Pane Sar Batda Pala, where we ask for the well-being of all humankind. I hope you enjoyed the talk. I'm going to pass the mic over now to my fellow friends. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
I'm sure you will all agree with me that we've had an inspiring evening with wonderful, wonderful talks from all of our speakers, speaking to us from their different religious perspectives, and yet all of them have emphasized universality that is integral to each religious faith. And we have heard over and over again words like peace and love and harmony and respect for each other cropping up. So can you all join once more in clapping to thank every one of our speakers today? Thank you. Well, it is time to give thanks, but thanks, it's a difficult thing to actually single out people because so many people have contributed this evening to its success. So thank you, of course, to Sri Bharatiya Mandalam, who have given us this wonderful, fabulous venue. Our thanks to Manchester Vedanta Study Circle and its organizers, and in particular also, of course, the spiritual leader of Manchester Vedanta Study Circle, Swami Ishatmananda Maharaj, who joined us from Chicago in the USA. This is the very first conference that Manchester Vedanta Study Circle has organized. I hope there will be others to follow. And I'm not going to single out the people within the Manchester Vedanta Study Circle because every one of them has contributed. But I also very much want to thank you, the audience, because it's your participation that I think has enabled this evening to be successful. Whatever success we have in this evening is definitely your participation, your interaction. So thank you so much. Thank you also to all the dignitaries who have contributed. Thank you to all the stall holders who have brought us some very interesting items that are dotted all around this hall. And I want to say that this is not the end of this conference. Even though you could say that the formal part of the conference is over, the conference is much more than the speeches and also the cultural performances that preceded the speeches. The conference is also about social and cultural networking. It's also about the meeting of minds and the meeting of souls. And this is why when we say namaskar, for instance, which is a typical Indian greeting, namaskar, which really means my soul bows to the soul in you. It's a reminder that every one of us is a spiritual being. And so in this conference, it's been such a privilege and a joy to meet so many fellow souls, souls that we have been reminded by our speakers, that they too, all of you are on the same spiritual journey. So in that sense, we are all Sikhs together. We are all seekers. And so we have a wonderful vegetarian meal, which is complimentary to the conference. So I hope you will enjoy the dinner and at the same time network with people. And as some of our speakers have pointed out earlier, use the opportunity also to make yourself known to someone perhaps you did not know before. Meet somebody new, introduce yourself, and get to know another beautiful soul who is at this conference. I hope too that we may count on your goodwill for many reasons. Those of you who have taken photographs, for instance, if you would mind sharing those. So the conference program will have an email address and a website. Have a look at the website. It'll tell you something about the organization, the Vedanta Study Circle. But use that email address, please, to share your photographs, maybe your videos, whatever you've taken. And we count on your goodwill also in the future, because this, I hope, is only the beginning of a journey together. Thank you very much again, and namaste. Swami Ishatmananda ji ended his talk with the words, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, or Om Peace Peace Peace. One of the most important words, peace, in today's world, which every one of our speakers has told us about. And thank you again to the cultural performers, the wonderful, inspirational, welcoming song which we had at the beginning. And thank you so much to our Kathak maestro, who gave us such a wonderful and powerful dance prayer to the divine.